Hey guys, welcome to another raid video. There was quite a while where I didn't push for platinum, but I've been making a point of trying it for the last at least few weeks, and it's been a lot of fun, I have to admit. I quite miss doing it. I gave up before mainly because of the boosting that was going on. It was just kind of pointless fighting against that. But now that that's gone, it's really fun doing platinum again. I always played platinum through the week, but I just didn't push on reset. But that's the last 4 weeks I've been doing it now. I've managed to make plat twice, and I think I'd made plat a handful of times before that. So by no means like a top arena player, but I'm aspiring to get there, and I enjoy it. So what I'm going to do in this series of videos is every single platinum reset, I'm going to make a video showcasing how I did, basically all the teams that I fought. I'll just do a running commentary through it, and hopefully it'll help you guys. Like I say, I'm not the top tier arena player, but I've got a good understanding of the game, and yeah, I'm going to be using slightly different teams as well. In this video here, I'm mainly actually using my Inquisitor team, which I really like. I designed it myself, so if you want to check out that video, just link it above just now. But I will be trying to use teams like that rather than the tried and tested. I'm saying that because I don't have Trunda and I don't have Sify, so I don't have much of a choice. They are pretty strong in the current offense meta, but my defense was going quite well, so we'll go over my defense at the end as well. It doesn't matter. I know a lot of people don't speak about their defense, but I think I'll just speak about my defense up because I change it every week anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And people generally know once they've faced it a few times what it's like. So we'll cover that as well, and yeah, just see how we did. So this one, it wasn't the best placing I've ever had, but it was a placing nonetheless. There was a few issues in between, which I'll explain, but it lets you see. It's sometimes better to see the things that people do wrong so you can correct them rather than just go in assuming that you just copy whatever someone's doing on YouTube and they just do it all right every single time. So you'll learn more by watching someone do something wrong at the same time. So anyway guys, I'm blabbing, let's just get on with the video. It's going to be a little bit longer, it's probably about the last 20 minutes we'll do, because to be honest, anything beyond 20 minutes before reset isn't really that mental, but the last sort of 20 to 30 minutes, I would say, of reset just goes crazy. And I mean, you'll get attacked. Like, if you've got a bad defense, you'll get attacked hundreds of times sometimes. I think in one of my runs, I had a really solid defense, and I still got attacked like, I think it was like 55 times in the last 15 minutes or something, which was crazy. So you will get attacked a lot. If you've got a good defense, it's really hard to keep like a positive record on defense. I don't even think it's possible nowadays, just because there's certain teams out there that just, especially like double Rotos and Sify right now, there's not a lot of defenses that can actually cope with that team. Not that I know of anyway, unless anyone knows out there. Unless you designed like a team specifically just to beat that exact one composition, which is stupid. But I guess that's the fun thing about Arena. It's kind of similar to Magic the Gathering. There's always a team that can beat another team, so it makes it quite interesting. It's just about hedging your bet, seeing what the meta is, and yeah, that's it guys. So anyway, let's get on with it. Right, so just finished up a game there, and we're just searching through. You'll see a lot of this, a lot of searching for the right kind of teams. My brain cells aren't quite as attuned as they were before when I was younger, so it takes me a little bit longer than most. But yeah, this team's pretty cool. Like I say, if you hadn't checked it out, go ahead. In theory, this team would be absolutely insane for the current meta if it wasn't for Swift Parry, but Swift Parry is an absolute nightmare. But as you can see, I blast those two guys out, reset, take a hit obviously from Lydia, and then it's just a case of cleaning them up. Obviously Swift Parry procs. So if that wasn't a Swift Parry, this would have been over in 20 seconds basically. And there, but still, that's a decent run. That's a nice fast run. As you can see, the meta is crazy this week. There's like no speed teams on defense anymore. It's a lot of like, double Rotos Sify, sorry. There's a lot of really tanky, high resistance teams. That's where it's going, Sifis, Krisks, Trundas, Duchess, a lot of Hegemons. A lot of this guy, Necrit as well. If people have him, he's really strong just now. So we go in and find another team I think I should be able to blast out, but again, this is just playing the Swift Parry gamble here. Made a bit of a mistake there. I should have attacked Necrit first. I forgot he was on the team. He actually gives damage mitigation, so that would have been a much quicker fight this if I'd just gone for Necrit and then gone for Sify, because it would have taken away the buffs, but that's fine. You live and you learn. So I'm taking out Sify now because I know I don't want to use that revive again. then taking out Mountain King. Now I can just clean up the other two, but we're over 30 seconds now, and in Platinum push, that's not ideal. The one problem about this team, I guess, is that it can be quite slow if it runs into problems from swift parries and stuff, so that's why I think I'm going to struggle to ever place really high with this team, but I'm determined to make it work because I like the team a lot. So I think that's part of the fun. You have to enjoy the team you're playing with as well. And now we just got to polish off Tormund, which can be a bit of a pain. You can't actually use the A2s. As you see, I have to use the A1 there because there's not enough buffs on. Inquisitor Shamal takes like 3 buffs to remove all the defense. Well, ignore all their defense. So now I've got 3 buffs on. Watch, I can just blast out the A2 and finish off Tormund. But again, pretty slow fight here. There is a lot of hegemons in the defense. I didn't actually see Hell Hades' team there. I should have probably attacked that. That would have been easier one. But this is a good team here. This is 456k resistance, so we know this is going to be a fairly easy team to beat with this team. I won't be able to strip them like that, but I should, in theory, be able to... Oh, that Duchess must have had some solid stats, because that's pretty tough. But normally, because they've got that high resistance, not always, but a lot of the time they won't be in swift parry because they need resistance gear to get that high. But they might be running crazy resistance gear with like 1 set of swift parry. But there we go, take out the 2 problem champions, and now just a case of finishing off. Again, we're quite a slow fight now. We're going to be up to the minute really to finish this, but we're never in any real trouble of dying as such. This is where we're kind of relying on our defense, which I'll go into in a little bit, to do its job. Strengthen is really, really strong just now. It's the only buff that can thwart Inquisitor Shamal's A2, because his A2 is so unbelievably strong, but occasionally, if there's a strengthen buff alongside like ally protection, increased defense, all that stuff, it seems to be the strengthen buff that really screws things up. So we're over the minute now. This is a pretty bad run, unfortunately. I could have done things a little bit differently here. It's just unfortunate that that Duchess didn't quite die on that first one. Again, if you had seen my video, I've not actually changed the team since then. So the team hasn't got that much solid gear on them. And there we go, should be able to finish off now. There we go. So 133, not ideal. Yeah, the team's not really got that solid gear. I'm kind of reluctant to spend all of my good glyphs on the team yet. I was wanting to do a few resets to see if I can do it. Here we've got Necrit again. You get the idea. It's tanky teams without speed leads we're going for. In this case, we managed to actually sleep a few folks. So what we want to do here is learn from our mistake and take out Necrit. There we go. And now we're probably going to get a swift parry proc of one of these guys. No, luckily we didn't. But obviously she's used the revive there. So what we're going to want to do is try and reset, then kill Duchess first. Because Duchess is the only one with a revive left. She doesn't have a revive anymore. Now we're free to do that, and obviously swift parry procs on her. You can see how good this team would be without swift parries in the meta. It would be insane, I think. But now we'll be able to finish her off, and then it's just a case of waiting on Krisk. So not super fast again, unfortunately, but we're getting there. We're getting through really tough teams, and we're not losing anything, so we are getting there. I think the thing that really would boost this team as well is speed. So my Duchess, I think, is about 300 speed. The 2 Inquisitors, they are pretty high. I think they're about 230 each, but I haven't speed glyphed anything. I got up to 1,000 points, so I wanted to boost up my resistance there just to make my defense look even more scary than it is. I think it's about 460, 470k, which will hopefully stop a lot of people. So this looks like a fairly solid team. I don't like fighting Warlord all the time, so I tend to avoid some Warlords if I know they've been pretty strong. Scratches, I don't like the Frost guy, Gargo or whatever his name is. I'm not entirely sure how people have geared him yet, so I've stayed away from them during this reset just because I'm not totally confident in how to fight them. So there's a little bit lower power team. Tormund's not much of a problem, to be honest, especially as my Duchess is quite fast, like I said, and she always puts up the block debuffs. There's the A2 coming in really good with True Fears all round. So there's not much resistance on this team. So a team like this is pretty solid. It's probably really high defense, which is absolutely fine for me, because I'm ignoring all defense anyway. So a team like this, it blasts out very, very quickly. And then Tormund being a bit of a pain just to finish off. But yeah, the A1s are still doing a fair bit of damage to him. So we'll get this done in about 30 odd seconds, which is pretty damn good. I do have the makings to actually make a really solid team against Hegemon, but it's a really common team. It's just using a Molly Tankard and a shield set, and then immunity, Madame, a nuker, and I think it's Prince Kymar, yes, which would be a very solid team, and I'd probably place a lot higher. So we'll see if this there we go. The Candraphon can be an absolute nightmare to play against with this team. So this has been a loss, I'm afraid, actually. At this point, I did revive, but I'd have probably been better just backing out, to be honest. So I wasted a little bit of time here. So this was a lesson learned. Candraphon, depending on how fast they are, can be an absolute nightmare because you can't target them when he does his Veil thing. And especially because we don't have the Duchess up now. We don't have a way of getting, so at this point I know it's over, but I should have left earlier there. I wasted a fair bit of time because we're now at place 188, whereas we probably were near the top 100 at that point. Siphi Rotos is a good one, but the only problem with that is you need to make sure you kill Siphi. If you do sleep the opponents, kill Siphi before Rotos wakes up and then just destroys your whole team. But here we go, we've got one. Valkyrie's not a problem. You kind of want Valkyrie to cut in because you're just going to come straight back with Kymar anyway and strip everyone. Except for Duchess, obviously. And obviously you have to always remember about... See, look at that, straight through the shield. It's really strong. Always remember about Lydia's passive. For ages, I kept forgetting about it. But every single time I hit any revive from either Duchess or Arbiter, I always look and think, right, do they have Lydia? Because I've made that mistake so many times. And there we go, 30-second run, that's a bit better. But again, we could have done without that other one. Candraphon, like I say, can be a bit of a pain. Here's a 483k power team. This is exactly what we're looking for. Unfortunately, it went into the gold 4 here, the gold 4 screen, but I don't think we were in gold 4. I think it's just one of these things. I accidentally hit Kymar's A1 there. I do not know what happened, but that slowed us right down and was not a good move at all. I think actually at this point my phone rang, that's why I got distracted, but I'm still able to come back because this is actually a really easy team to beat, but I've just screwed up the whole run by pressing the A1. And here we go, get through it. So we're still doing it in like 40 seconds, which is good considering, but that could have easily been a 20-second run. And, you know, doing that and then just making those little mistakes like not sleeping people and then pressing that A1, that's really cost us a ton of time. There we go, sleeps have landed. Hopefully we get that without swift parry, we do. It's unfortunate because I've also got a very good Kitus team built that I built specifically, and that's where I've put most of my resources into it. Like this team has 0 glyphs on them, absolutely none, like I mentioned earlier. But the Kitus team was designed around specific champions being in the meta, and at the moment, this team just seems to do much better against all these big tanky resistant teams that seem to be out there. It's just a little bit slow in doing it sometimes. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe if I just beast out and just put all my glyphs into this team, because I could get, you know, if I speed glyphed all of these guys, especially the 2 damage dealers, because they're coming around a little slow sometimes compared to people. Here we go, we've got Valkyrie again going to cut in, but it's no problem at all. Once we do this, she'll hit, and then we can just strip, because I don't think these guys' resistance is that much, nope. Except for the Duchess. Duchess is usually high resistance, but our Kymar's at about 600 accuracy, so he's pretty good. And the good thing with a high resistance Duchess is most of the time, unless they've got crazy gear, they won't be in swift parry, which makes life a little bit easier. Swift parry is the enemy here. 29 seconds, that's good. And we've got Trunda in this team. So you've always got to be careful of Trunda. If you don't sleep her for whatever reason, then you definitely want to be trying to take her out before she takes a turn and cuts in. So she's sleeping right now, so you don't want to wake her up, so there's no point. Unfortunately, the strengthen buff really kept that Mountain King alive there. So that's kind of slowed us down a little bit, but we should be fine now. Take out Trunda just in case she does manage to take a go. Now it's fairly easy, just taking out the remaining Mountain King with low health. Here we go. So again, don't be afraid to hit that refresh button in Platinum Push. I think a lot of the time I see people just searching through for teams they can beat, but it's only 5 gems. Definitely just strip it and just go and look for another lot, because if you spend your time looking for teams rather than fighting them, that's a sure way to not place very high. As you can see, a lot of Mountain Kings in the meta just now. I've actually got Mountain King in my defense too. He's off affinity to Trunda, which really makes a big difference. There we go, Swift Parry. We've been fairly lucky with Swift Parry procs up until this point. And so, but we ordinarily do get a lot of them proccing. It makes this team's effectiveness pretty difficult, especially when it's like Siffies or Duchess that proc the Swift Parry, then it's really problematic. So again, I think my phone rang here. That's why I kind of paused on the screen for a fair wee bit. It's never easy. I'm quite a busy man, so stuff normally happens to me when I'm trying to do Platinum Reset, which makes it pretty difficult. But yeah, I'm still stuck on the screen. So yeah, this was definitely when I had a quick phone call, but managed to get off the phone call. And we've got 2 minutes till reset. Now, this is when something else happened. This is when my daughter came into the room. She was wanting to, I think she said she'd done a poo, and I had to go and check, but she hadn't actually done a poo, so it's fine. And then she just ran off and did something else, so I was like, whew, that's good, thank God. So I managed to get into a game, but at this point, we've wasted what would have been another win, easily. And I stupidly, again, because I was distracted, I had someone phoning me. I did the same mistake I made earlier. I forgot to attack Necrit first. And yeah, I've just basically blown it here. So I've tied myself into a fight, which is now going to last absolutely ages. Luckily got the fear there, but it didn't pay off. So that was unfortunate. But because it was only 2 minutes left, this will be our last attack. So that was quite unfortunate, getting a phone call, and it was an important phone call I had to take, and also having my daughter rudely interrupt my Platinum Push, which does happen when you have kids. It's never easy. But fortunately, she did not have a poo, so I didn't have to actually go and take her to the toilet, which would have totally screwed up the whole Platinum Push for me. But I think I'm just going to next week gear up the team even stronger. I'm just going to take the plunge, bite the bullet, and glyph it up. Really min max the gear on this team, push a lot more speed out of it. And I think with the current meta in defense, unless it drastically changes next week, I should be able to do quite well, because I shouldn't have lost any fights. It was just stupidity. There we go. I've got 18, 17, 18 seconds. I don't even know really why I'm bothering going into another fight here. This is one I can win quick, but I'm never going to do it in 15 seconds. So I can't actually remember if I manage. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to strip them, but we go for Duchess, take her out in a winner. Krisk actually survives. He's a beast sometimes, probably like 100k health or something. Now we're way over the 15 seconds, but I don't like losing fights, so I'm just going to finish it off. Don't want to finish on a loss. And Lydia's taken a ton of damage too. Yeah, so leave in the comments, guys. Tell me what you think. Is it worth me just pushing with this team? It's a little bit obscure. It's a little bit slow. It's a bit different. But I feel it's a pretty decent... Well, it should be 100% win rate against these teams I'm going against. It's just my own stupidity that's made me slow down, or at least lose that one fight in this push, which was not a good choice on my behalf. There we go. We're in gold 3. I can't remember. This was my worst placing I've had. Made platinum here. Don't know what I'm looking at here. I wish they actually had a leaderboard just to show you through the week who did. So it was 278, so it's not a fantastic one, but it's still in platinum, considering I had to take a phone call, had issues, all this kind of stuff. I'm not too annoyed at that. I think the highest I've ever been was only like just over top 100, so it was like 106 or something, and that was a while back now, so it's not like I've ever been super, super high, but I feel like I'd definitely be getting into at least the top sort of 150, 200 with this team. And then hopefully once I get a better defence, we could start pushing that down. But my defence is pretty decent. I think in a second I'll probably go over my defence. Obviously this is just a recorded video. That's our defence there, so it got attacked. See, not too crazy amount, and I was getting a good amount of victories in there. Yeah, as you can see, it's not fantastic, but it's not by any stretch of the means a bad defence. We're catching people out as well. Especially my Mountain King is pretty strong. I think he catches people out how strong he is. He's able to one-shot most things. And the shield on him's huge. He's obviously well over 100k health. So that was the platinum push, guys. And what we'll do is we'll just have a quick tour through the champions that I used in this video. Just real quick brief overview. And yeah, just let you see how I was doing it. So first of all, I'll start with the offense because you guys were watching that. My Kaimar, he was the lead. You need his speed aura in this. So I was using a speed aura from him. But my Duchess was the fastest. But he's running at like it's like 291 speed, 572 accuracy, and pretty survivable, pretty decent stats. My Duchess, that's the other Duchess. This Duchess is running at like 293 speed, and that's all that really matters. You just want her faster than him. Some resistance is always handy, and you really want with her timely intervention. That's a must. You need that one in there. But yeah, she's pretty strong for this role. Again, I've not glyphed her stuff here. I've got unglyphed speed, unglyphed anything really. It's just I just kind of threw this team together to see. I almost thought it might not do that well, but it seems to be pretty good. So let's next week really beast it up. And obviously the two Inquisitors. Again, I don't think, yeah, we've got a 2 on there. We've got not fantastic gear, not really glyphed that high. A 2 there. This guy's actually relentless. I could easily switch that out because I can't remember. I think I had dreams of using him in relentless originally, then I just never changed them out of the gear. But to be honest, he's got pretty good stats as it is in relentless. I mean, you don't actually need Helm Smasher or any ignore defense with this build, so you can beast the crit damage, which is pretty good. So yeah, that might be another thing to do. That might be why occasionally I wasn't killing one of the big beefy champions. So I might switch him out into some just solid crit damage gear and try and get much more speed out of him, and then put some speed glyphs into this guy, and that'll be pretty strong. My defense that I was using this beast here, who I'm going to be doing a champion guide on soon, so I'm not going to go too in depth, but she is a monster for defense. I think she's one of the more underused champions. I think just because Necrit came out, he's so good. He's kind of doing similar stuff, but I feel if she was just to do her AI a little bit better, she'd be better than him. So what you really want with her is you want to be using this passive, which decreases damage from crit hits by 30% and then puts it onto this champion. So it's not technically mitigating the damage. It's like a built-in Selfless Defender, effectively, but up to 30% from crit hits. So crit hits are always going to be the big nukers in this game. So someone like Trunda's, Ethos, any of those crit hits, she's going to absorb all the damage for the whole fight, not just for the first one. And because she's got Selfless Defender on, she's absorbing 20% on the first enemy hit. So it's 50% of damage on all your other champions. She mitigates and takes herself on that first hit. And the best thing about her is you'd think she would just die, but she's got such solid base stats here that it's really hard to kill her. So if you look, I don't think there's another champion in the game with this high stats. So 23k, well, there's higher HP and there's higher defense and higher speed, but combined, I don't think there's a champion with that good, a solid base stat. So like 23k health, 1.5k defense, 108 speed. So I've not put any speed rolls or any speed really on her altogether, apart from maybe like 1. So she's very slow, but that doesn't matter. She's at like nearly 100k health, 5k defense. Again, not totally glyphed, and over 540 accuracy. With Lydia's passive, she's sitting at 643, which is enough to get pretty much through all the debuffers except for Madame. And she's also got the beautiful deflection set on, which is really underrated again, which can have a 1 in 4 chance of deflecting debuffs, which is just game over when that happens. It's like the opposite to the Swift Parry set. It's actually really good, guys. A lot better than I give it credit for. So yeah, that's her. Obviously Lydia, just as much kind of damage mitigation and resistance as you can. I opted for a little bit of accuracy in this build. I had her at like 680 resistance before. But I was finding, you know what, it's not a bad thing if one of your champions get killed, and it's usually her or Mountain King first, because then it triggers my Duchess's A3, which means I can get some healing on the go for our Saga Warcaller, because if she dies, the rest of your team's screwed because she's taking all the damage anyway. So usually this is the one that dies first now, is Lydia, because she can obviously take the odd debuff now, but she's pretty strong and she's a bit faster. She's 225 now, so she is pretty damn good. She puts up that strengthen debuff, which is awesome for our Saga. That's the one thing I mentioned about, sorry, that I forgot to mention about our Saga, is if she changed her AI to use, she uses this ability first, but you really want her to use this ability first here. Obviously when it's on defense, it's on auto, but if she was to put that down and the strengthen on herself, on auto, she'd be an absolute monster. But unfortunately, this just kind of gets wasted a lot of the time because she's not got that high accuracy. She's got enough to land it on like a nuker, but that's it. That's all you really need it for. But you need to put the rest of her stats into her defense, because of this ability. She's going to take a ton of damage. So next we are going down to the famous Duchess. This is that's from earlier. So this is the other Duchess I've got. She's Resistance Duchess. 688 resistance, so 788 when she is under the Lydia passive. She was over 800 with Lydia, but I switched it out for a little bit more HP because I really want her to be tough, and she is super tough now. It's a kind of fine balance, but 788 resistance is pretty strong. There's not much that's stripping that. There's the odd few Madames that can get around it, but it's pretty good. So that's all you're looking for her. And like I say, this is your only source of healing, so it's handy to be able to have one person dying just so they can get some more healing on our Saga. And last but not least, we go to the Mountain King. Which one is it again? It's this guy, this Mountain King. So he's in a shield set, he's in Divine Speed gear. I opted to build him a little bit faster, but in a shield set, he's at 230 crit damage. I'd never put him at 100% crit rate. I always put him at sort of somewhere between 70 to 90, just because most of the time he lands, and it means I can really beast out the HP and stuff like that. In an ideal world, if I got better rolls, it'd be nice to get 100% crit rate, but I feel he's one of these champions you don't necessarily need to, especially after he kills someone, because his attack just like skyrockets after that. Can go up to 100% extra. Plus he's got over 100k health, so he's really tough. I didn't go with a huge amount of resistance on him, just enough to get around all the kind of smaller debuffers, because if you went for like crazy high resistance, with the gear I've got anyway, it's pretty hard to get really solid crit damage and crit rate and health and attack, because you still want to have him about 3k attack if you can, because he can deal a ton of damage. So that's one of the things you need. And I also opted to have him a little bit faster, because I know there's kind of two options to do Mountain King. I used to run him at like 100 speed, 100, sometimes even less, because his base speed's 85, so you can put like attack boots on him or HP and then just hope for sort of the counter attacks. Even stick him in Relentless is pretty good. You can get some really crazy turns off that, but it was just a little bit too, it didn't work a lot of the time, and there's champions out there like Inquisitor that can just blast these guys out in a winner. So 171 seems to be working out a lot better for me. He's taking quite a lot more turns, doing a lot more damage overall, so I think that's been quite a good move. So anyway guys, that is the video. Hope you enjoyed it. I will be doing a Platinum Push video every week now, regardless of how bad I do, how good I do. So that wasn't fantastic. We didn't unfortunately get to use my Chitis team, which is much faster. It's much cooler in my opinion. I think it's a great team. It's really versatile, but the meta this week was just so tanky, full of big high resistance teams, and single target hitters. And what you need against the Chitis team is you need, you know, just solid speed nuke teams, things like that. You know, typical Arbiter, Siphi, Madame, Trunda. It's amazing against that team. It'll beat pretty much every single version of it in the whole of Platinum every single time. But unfortunately, no one is using them in defense now. That is just an offense team. It's all these big, tanky resistance teams. So we had to play with what we got. So hopefully next week we'll glyph up that team, make sure it does a bit better, and stay tuned. And hopefully we'll place a little bit higher. So anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe as usual, and have a great day, guys. Peace.